Hey everybody, so today I want to talk about Bleach, Rebirth of Souls. I'm just going to start off by saying so far I'm really enjoying it, even though there are a few little problems with the game. First, I want to talk about the combat system in the game. The combat system is actually pretty unique. It's this weird blend of like Soul Calibur and Dragon Ball Z where you can instead of just having 360 in a circle around somebody, in certain areas you can move up and down just like they would in the show, and that was pretty good. The way the game starts off though, with the tutorial of combat, it does a good job explaining everything you need to know to be at least semi decent in the game and survive. Where I think the game is lacking in regards to combat is, while the character roster is decent, I feel like they should have had hollows. I'm not talking about the Arancars. I mean actual hollows as playable characters, since the first arc of the game, which is what I'm through now, you fight against hollows. So they definitely have their own move set. They're in the game. So why not just give them to us? And I'm guessing that maybe later on, as extra release content, we might get to play as them. I That's a model that I generally don't like. If they're in the game right now, they have their move sets. Making them playable would be a fantastic thing to do. The next thing I want to talk about is the graphics. The graphics are pretty good. It's what you would kind of expect in a game. There's only so much you can do to make a game look like an anime. Once you go too far, then the game just looks really cheap. So, graphically wise, I think the game does a really good job. It runs really smooth on my PlayStation 5, so I don't have any issues with that. Now here comes the what I honestly think is the bad part. I was only able to get through the first chapter today because it's just so long. Some of these cutscenes were long enough to where my PlayStation remote just it shut off. That's how long it was from between each fight. And I know that a lot of games are going to put in different cutscenes and you're going to see different parts of the game, different parts of the story, and that's great, but there should be more fights. You take like Mortal Kombat, where after a fight you get a cutscene, and then there's another fight just a couple minutes later. In this game, it's you do a fight, you get one fight per mission in the chapter, and then you get like 10 to 15 minutes of a cinematic, and that just I was sitting there like falling asleep. I'm watching videos on my phone because I mean I know the story and I understand you can skip those, but I was trying to record it just because I'm going to post the each arc as I go. But it was unnecessarily long for how few fights you get. So in the first arc, you get I want to say 6 or 8 missions off the top of my head. I can't really remember. That's how daunting it was. You fight once per mission, and that was really it made everything really boring because you just had to sit there and wait for the next fight, and rather than just flowing things. And then they would fill in the story when they could have had the fights to fill in the story. So I think that's really where the game is lacking. It's just kind of boring, and I'm hoping that it picks up, but I doubt that it will. I'm not sure how much people that aren't fans of Bleach are going to enjoy the game. Like I said, though, the combat is pretty solid. It's just that storytelling is so boring, and some of the lines just sound off. I'm going to add that in as well. It Unlike in the show where it sounds like people are having a conversation, in this one, quite a few of the lines just sound like somebody was reading this particular line off of a piece of paper. Another thing that I'm not a huge fan of is when you start a fight in, versus mode, they say the same thing every time they come out. So it's not like a unique dialogue per, fighters. And in today's gaming world, most other games are doing that. They're doing a unique dialogue depending on who's fighting whom. And I think that's a really good thing. Or sometimes, they'll say things when they do their power moves, but their mouths don't move. And I feel like just those little things kind of take away from the game. I'm in no way trying to bash the game, so that's not what I'm trying to do. Because, like I said, I'm enjoying it. I just think that there are areas that the game could be better. I see me kind of finishing out the story and then probably putting it away. I don't know how much replayability it's going to have. Most of the characters, like I said, I wish that the characters that they had, the roster was a little bit larger. And I know, I don't want it like a Sparking Zero where there's over 100 characters and they're all the same person. It's just, I think with the huge variety of characters in Bleach, they could have had more. They could have had, like I said, they could have had hollows. And I know they're going to be adding more characters as time goes on. But there's just so many that feel like they're missing, and it just feels a little off. But overall, I am enjoying the game. I recommend, if you're a fan of Bleach, pick it up. If you're not a fan of Bleach, this probably isn't where I would start. So I'm going to leave it there. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like, please subscribe to the channel. Give me your thoughts in the comments of, what you like about the game, what you dislike about the game. I'd love to hear from you. Take care.